It's not grown here. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like in Asia, you can't ride your bicycle to school or take a car to work without going by an algae farm. Here we have, cornfields or wheat fields or tomato patches. No algae farms.
Wow.
We grow ours in Taiwan, and which is known as the gold standard for algae.
All right, guys. Catherine Arnston here today, founder and CEO of ENERGYbits, chief scientific officer, and now a PhD.
Yes, I just got word on Monday.
Wow,
2 days ago.
Let's go. And now we're going to talk
Let's
algae.
do this. We are indeed.
I know nothing about algae, so I'm very excited.
You're like everybody else in North America, so that's
Right?
what I'm doing.
Yeah, so let's talk about what it is exactly and how it's healthy.
Yeah. Well, the first thing people should know is that algae was the first life on Earth almost 4 billion years ago, and it's documented, and it was actually spirulina, which is a cyanobacteria. So the first thing I want people to know is that algae's been here way longer than we have, and it's still here. In fact, I call spirulina spiritualina because I think there's something special about being the first life on Earth. Anyways, so algae is its own food category. People probably don't, they may have heard of spirulina and chlorella, and they think that there's that and then there's algae. No, those are two types of algae. So let me explain that algae is everywhere, and there's two main types of algae. One is macroalgae, and the other one is microalgae. We're going to talk mostly about microalgae today, but let me explain what macroalgae is. It's that stringy stuff that washes up on shore, also known as seaweed or dulse or kelp. Now, it's called seaweed because it's only in the sea. And it's still good for you because it has iodine because it's from the ocean, and it has high fiber, but it has virtually zero nutrition. High fiber, zero nutrition. I used to buy big kelp bags, and there'd be like 2 calories in the entire bag because there's zero nutrition in it. Microalgae is completely opposite, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Microalgae either has zero fiber. Spirulina has zero fiber because it's a bacteria. It's a cyanobacteria. Chlorella, which we'll talk about later, does have fiber in it, but nonetheless, virtually zero fiber or none. The most concentrated nutrition in the universe. Even the United Nations says algae has 1,000 times more nutrition than any other fruit or vegetable in the world. So no fiber, high nutrients, and found everywhere. Seaweed's only in the sea. Microalgae is everywhere. It's in the sea, but it's also in the lakes, the rivers, the streams, the soil, your swimming pool, your aquarium, and it is harvested. 2 strains of it are harvested as food crops, and we're going to talk about those, spirulina and chlorella. So when we talk either our spirulina and chlorella, or if you go to Target to buy it, this is not from the ocean. This is a harvested food crop. It is a multi-billion, that's with a B, multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia. 99% of it is grown in Asia, and 99% of it is consumed in Asia. But you may have heard of like so back to microalgae, high nutrition, zero fiber, and there are tens of thousands of strains, possibly hundreds of thousands of strains of microalgae. And by the way, it's called microalgae because it's microscopic in size. You cannot see it with an eye. Something like 1 million cells of microalgae could fit on the head of a pin.
Yeah.
So when you consolidate it, as we do, into these little tablets, I can show you one later on, which are about the size of a baby aspirin. Now you start to understand why they're so concentrated. 1 tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So anyway, there's tens of thousands of strains, and the 2 strains that are most well known are blue-green algae and green algae. Blue-green algae is called blue-green because it has 2 pigments in it. A blue one, which is called phycocyanin, I'm going to spell that for you, PHYCOCYANIN, which you've probably never heard of before because it's only in this one type of algae called spirulina. And then green algae only has 1 pigment called chlorophyll. People are familiar with chlorophyll. So when you read about, and spirulina is 1 strain of blue-green algae, and chlorella is 1 strain of green algae. So when you read about a blue-green algae closing your favorite beach, and people are horrified because, of course, it's toxic, because what does algae do? It kills bacteria and absorbs toxins. So algae only shows up when there's bacteria and toxins in the water. You can't see the bacteria or toxins. You can only see the algae, but it's the cleanup crew. and it does the same thing in your body. It's the cleanup crew. So, but when you read about blue-green algae blooms, it's not spirulina. Spirulina and chlorella are the two strains of algae that are harvested as food crops it's called hydroponically, which means it's grown in fresh water. So I want to assure people, spirulina and chlorella, at least ours, and we're known for having the highest quality because of the special precautions that we put in place to grow it carefully, like growing it in triple filtered spring mountain water and not using high heat to dry it, which is really important when we talk about longevity and mitochondria health, because there's some nutrients in here that protect your mitochondria that are damaged by high heat. But just to get back, spirulina and chlorella are harvested food crops, and the reason why people in America don't know about it is because, drum roll, it's not grown here. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like in Asia, you can't ride your bicycle to school or take a car to work without going by an algae farm. Here we have, corn fields or wheat fields or tomato patches. No algae farms.
Wow.
We grow ours in Taiwan, and which is known as the gold standard for algae. And I drew a line from Taiwan across the earth to America, and where did I get to? Florida. Florida has exactly the same climate as Taiwan, and my goal is one day to grow it here in Florida, and it's possible because growing algae is not like growing broccoli or carrots. It's more like making wine. And when you make wine, it's affected by the angle of the sun. It's affected by the production processes. So Taiwan has the best algae for concentrated nutrition, partly because of the angle of the sun and the climate it's grown in. And then we're known for having the highest quality because of our production processes, where we protect and preserve the nutrients, because you can go to Target and buy spirulina and chlorella, knock yourself out. But I can promise you it came from a company that grew it in China, and I can promise you they used high heat to dry it because lower priced algae companies need to sell more to make money, so they cut corners, and using high heat is one of them. But when you use high heat, you deactivate some of the critical nutrients we're going to talk about today that are so important for your health. And so when you buy cheap algae, it's like buying a beautiful car with no engine, right?
Wow.
So don't be tricked. Get the real deal. And you could also get live or frozen spirulina because it has not been exposed to high heat, but it's messy, tastes terrible, expires quickly, and you can't travel with it. So ours comes in tiny tablets. Maybe what I'll do is I'll open one of these to show people.
So do you drink it or do you eat it?
Most people swallow spirulina because it's very chewy. And we'll talk about the difference between the two algae. You can't really, it doesn't really dissolve well in water, but chlorella is very tasty with nuts or coconut or fruit slices or sea salt. I eat mine with pistachios and sea salt. But I will admit, most people swallow the spirulina because it's the highest concentration of protein in the world. It has 3 times the amount of protein as steak. United Nations has endorsed spirulina as the answer to world hunger since 1974.
Holy crap.
They had a global conference on spirulina in 1974. You can Google it. So that's 50 years ago. You do need at least 10 at a time to feel any difference.
You need 10?
Yeah,
Okay.
one doesn't really do anything.
So 10 of these have more protein than steak, you're saying?
Well, spirulina has 64% protein. Animal protein, whether it's chicken, fish, steak, has an average of 30% protein or 22% protein. So this is 64, so 3 times the amount. So on a weight basis. So it's more concentrated protein by weight. And we can get into the comparison of protein of the spirulina versus in an animal protein, because what people need to understand is that when you eat animal protein, your body can't digest it that way. It needs to break it down into what's called amino acids. And there are 20 amino acids. By the way, the algae has 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make. But with animal protein, all the aminos are all bound up, and it can take days for your body to break it down into aminos. And most people don't all have all the what's called the factors and cofactors that allow that to happen. So you may eat 50 grams of protein, which is maybe the fist size of for chicken. but you may only absorb 10% as aminos. So 50 grams of protein may only give you 5 grams of aminos because you don't have all the factors that you need to absorb it. With algae, especially spirulina, all of the protein is already in amino acid form. Nothing for your body to break down. So when you eat 5 grams of aminos, 5 grams of protein, like a pack of 30 is 5 grams of protein.
Yeah.
You get 5 grams of aminos. So 5 grams of aminos from spirulina is the equivalent of 50 grams of animal protein.
Wow.
This is why I call it efficient nutrition. I also call it intelligent food, which we'll talk about in a minute, because you have to be intelligent to take it, and it does amazing things in your body. It is intelligent food itself.
Can't wait to see the results of those. So you got to take 10 a day?
Well, if you're trying to fill, so here's the thing, and I got into this, and we'll talk about my story later on. I got into this because my sister had breast cancer, and her oncologist told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet, which turned out to be plant-based diet, and I helped her figure out what that was, which led me to algae, the most alkaline food in the world. But the thing is, a lot of people are getting disease much earlier these days. Chronic disease is rampant. It hits everybody after the age of 40, and now it's hitting people earlier when they're even in their 30s. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, they're off the charts. And from my analysis and all the scientists that I work with, they call this the great nutrient collapse, this era that we're in, because our soils are so overcropped and monocropped, and they're loaded with glyphosate and pesticide. There's fiber and calories in our food, not nutrition. Your grandparents had way more nutrition from their vegetables than what you're getting now. So first of all, there's no nutrition. And then everybody's eating processed foods that are so loaded with bad omega-6 oils that are heated, so they're rancid and they're inflammatory, and sugar and gluten. So there's all these things that are causing health issues. You're not getting the nutrients you need. You're getting things that you don't. And then on top of all that, the average adult in America now, read, has 700 toxins in them. And these toxins lodge in your cell receptors, in your stomach lining. They cause all kinds of damage and prevent you from being healthy. So you're going to find out, and we'll get into this in greater detail, spirulina fills all of your nutritional gaps. So I call it your nutritional insurance. And chlorella is a wellness detoxing algae, pulls all the toxins out and builds your immune system. So I call it your health insurance.
Got it.
So for maintenance, in terms of dosage, if you're just wanting to fill some nutritional gaps, because let's face it, most people don't eat vegetables,
right,
or when they're traveling, or that gives them gas, or there's too much work, or their kids won't eat them. Men hate vegetables. And yet you need the nutrients found in vegetables. So spirulina tablets, one tablet gives you the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. You didn't have to cook it. You didn't have to clean it. You didn't have to carry it home from the grocery store. It lasts 3 years. What food lasts 3 years? No digestive distress. It has 0 fiber, so you can give this to newborns, children, pets, grandparents. The easiest thing in the world to digest, 40 vitamins and minerals. This is truly the best gift from Mother Nature you can find. I can't take credit for algae. Mother Nature is what created it. I will take credit for growing it so carefully. We preserve the nutrients better than any other algae company available. But this will give you everything you need effortlessly. If you can drink water in 10 seconds or 1 second, you take 10 tablets, they're so tiny, I chew them all the time. So I like the flavor. But kids, by the way, love to chew them too, because turns their tongues green. They think it's hilarious. But if you take 10 a day, you will get all the nutrients that you need. You can eliminate a fish oil, a multivitamin, CoQ10, biotin. You can eliminate 5 supplements. Everybody I know is taking 10 or 20 supplements a day. It's crazy.
That's a lot.
And I tell people, a supplement is like listening to a grade 3 soloist. Your body only absorbs about 10% of what's in supplements, because most of them are made from artificial ingredients and are made in factories with high heat, so it damages most of the nutrients. And so what's a grade 3 soloist? Well, nobody I want to listen to for a long period of time, I'll tell you that. Algae is like listening to a symphony, because there's more than 40 vitamins and minerals, enzymes and coenzymes, all the micronutrients, all the macronutrients. And what they do is they leverage each other. They allow each of these nutrients to be absorbed perfectly. So you don't have to worry about, should I be taking it with juice or with fruit, or should I avoid juice or fruit, or does it have lectins or oxalates that's going to damage my stomach, which, by the way, it does not. So algae gives you everything, and it loves your body. It gives and I tell people, I wrote a small mini booklet called The Algae Love Story, because it will love your body in a way that no food, no supplement can, and it's harmonized nutrition. Spirulina has zero cellulose wall because it's a bacteria. So it gets absorbed instantly into your body, so all the nutrients can be directed to where they need to be used. So it's very efficient nutrition. And the big claim to fame with spirulina is it gives you energy. It gives you mental energy, physical energy, and mitochondrial energy. I do want to talk a little bit more detail about mitochondrial energy. So there's zero carbs, so it does not interfere with fasting. It has zero sugar, zero caffeine, the highest protein in the world. Both of them have the highest chlorophyll in the world, and we'll talk about the importance of chlorophyll. But effortless. This is
super easy.
I call this fast food. This is the future of fast food. You can chew them, but most people do swallow the spirulina. As you can see, I chew them. So 10 tablets a day will fill nutritional gaps. By the way, there's so much protein and so much nutrients, your grocery bill will go down too. Especially, let's say you have a 30 pouch for lunch. Yep. That's lunch. 30 calories if anyone's trying to lose weight. This satisfies your hunger for hours.
Will you feel full off this, you think?
You will. If you take 10, it will cut your hunger.
Wow.
30 will satisfy your hunger for 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't give you the feeling of eating a big spaghetti dinner full, but it gives you the satiety, and it gives you the energy mentally. And because a lot of people, if they're on a diet, they're cutting back on their food and they're cutting portions and types of food, and ultimately you end up getting hangry. you don't have any energy. I know people that are. We recommend if anyone's on a GLP-1, of course you're not eating, but your body's constantly needing food like protein to create cells. And so if you're on a GLP-1, please take spirulina. Highest protein in the world, 40 vitamins and minerals. It will make it easy for your body to stay healthy while you're on that drug. And they're easy to travel with. They come in little pouches. And by the way, and we have a discount code for your listeners later on on our website, ENERGYbits.com. As we sell them in large bags of 1,000 tablets. But here's the other great thing. Most people do the 10 tablets a day. And by the way, I wanted to mention, if you have a health condition, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, you're trying to lose weight, anything, we recommend 30 tablets a day until you get a clearer diagnosis. And then you can get back to the 10 tablets. But you'll probably feel so great from 30, you might want to keep taking 30. I take way more than that. Our NHL players, by the way, because we fuel entire hockey teams, NHL, Olympic teams, they take 75 spirulina before a game. 75. They put them in a smoothie because you can grind them up and put them in a smoothie. And why do they take so many? Because it gives you focus and energy. And in hockey, there's a lot of very fast moves. So you want your brain to be working and you want to be able to pull the energy to skate across the ice quickly. Olympic athletes and marathon runners, triathletes, they use it for the same reason. And then they take 75 chlorella after the game, because not only does chlorella pull out toxins, it pulls out lactic acid, also pulls out heavy metals, and we'll get to it. But here's what I want people to know. You take 10 tablets a day, you can clear out a lot of your supplements. You won't be buying as many groceries. And 10 tablets a day with your discount code that we're going to give you costs $1 a day.
That's not bad at all.
$1 a day. Every single person in the world can afford $1 a day. That's a third less than a Starbucks coffee. And Starbucks coffees, I'm sorry, will not change the trajectory of your health like this will, because there's nutrients in here not found in any other food in the world that will do amazing things for your body, that are documented and proven in hundreds of thousands, well, actually tens of thousands of studies. And we'll talk about one in particular called superoxide dismutase, which protects your mitochondria, and there are 25,000 scientific papers proving this.
Wow.
So when I am recommending things and telling you and your listeners about the nutrients and the importance of algae, it's scientifically backed. You can't argue with 100,000 studies. I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah, that
and
is.
25,000 alone on superoxide dismutase is pretty much a fact. But it's a nutrient most people aren't familiar with because they don't know anything about algae.
Yeah. And from a personal experience, it worked on your sister. It seems to have worked on you. So that's really good.
Yeah. Well, are you in your 20s?
27. Yeah.
27, okay. I'm 68.
Wow.
68, okay? This is all my own hair, no extensions. This is my own skin, no
Well
Botox. I have my own brain. I just got my PhD. I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm slim, I'm active. I only have millennials working for me, and I travel all over the country speaking. This stuff works. And your age group who's listening is probably younger. Please start taking this because damage at the mitochondria level starts much earlier than people think. The symptoms cannot show up sometimes for 10 years. That's why they call inflammation the silent killer. Please put your parents on this. I'm sure most of them are already experiencing health conditions. Your grandparents, dementia, this helps correct dementia because of some of these nutrients that I'm going to talk about. And it's food. We call our algae bits. These little tablets, we call them bits, because they're bits of food. There is nothing else in here except 100%, in this case, spirulina, or 100% chlorella. We do have a brand called Vitality Bits, which is a blend of the two algae. But it's a food crop. You just don't know about it because no one's told you about it, and it's not grown here. So that's what I'm trying to do, is help people understand. And I remind people, hey, you probably didn't know about chia or matcha or kiwa or bone broth, until somebody told you about, or collagen powder, until somebody told you about it. But these are food groups and nutrients that have been used in other countries by indigenous people for centuries. But nobody told you about it until they brought it to America. So that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm bringing something that's existed in other countries for centuries, used safely for 60 years daily in Asia. Why should they be the only ones getting the best? Japanese have the best longevity, lowest cancer rates, lowest obesity rates, great skin and hair, right? They take chlorella and spirulina every single day.
Wow.
They don't take supplements in Japan. They take chlorella because it's a wellness algae. Spirulina is an energizing algae. Chlorella is a wellness algae. They do completely different things in your body.
The Asians are really hard workers, so it could be this.
Yeah, right. Well, and also the Chinese Olympic team,
they crushed it this year.
They take spirulina, and you must take spirulina to be on their team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They almost beat us this year. Did you
really?
see how close it was?
No,
We
really?
tied in gold medals, but we had more bronze and silver, so we won. But China's catching up.
Yeah. And most of this actually is grown in China of algae or India, but it's all grown by contract manufacturers, and these companies that use the contract manufacturers, they usually have anywhere from 50 or 100 other supplements. They're not paying attention. It's just one more thing on their list of supplements. All we do is algae. That's it. We are specialists. I mean, you wouldn't go to your country doctor for a heart transplant. You go to a cardiologist. If you want to correct or protect and maintain your health, your beauty, your digestion, whatever you got, or regain what you got, algae will do it for you. The nutrients, I should say, because don't want the FDA to get mad at me. I'm not a doctor, although I did get my PhD. I'm not a medical professional, and I'm not saying that algae makes these corrections in your health or protects your health. It's the nutrients found in algae, those are proven in science. But the nutrients aren't found in many other foods, or they are deactivated, and so they're active in ours.
This seems like the ultimate superfood.
It is. I call it the super duper food.
Growing up, they said it was kale. They said it was acai.
Yeah. Well, and kale sadly has lectins and oxalates. A lot of people go carnivore because these lectins and oxalates, which are sharp proteins found in certain foods like spinach, kale, what's called nightshades, these damage your stomach lining. They poke holes in they can, especially if you're sensitive to it. And the reason they're there is that these are in plants, they're land plants, and they had to defend themselves evolutionarily from bugs or predators because they do the same thing to the bugs and predators' tummies. They upset them as well. Well, algae doesn't have lectins and oxalates because it's not a land plant. It came from the ocean. So carnivores, listen up. This is for you too, because this contains nutrients that you also need. And if you're paleo, ancestral, there is nothing more ancestral than algae.
Wow.
Because it was the first life on Earth almost 4 billion years ago, and it's proven in science.
So the algae and the seaweed in the ocean, they don't have those protective things that the plants on land have?
They have the protective nutrients, but they don't have lectins or oxalates, which are called anti-nutrients, because they can cause damage to you if you're sensitive to it. There's a doctor by the name of Dr. Stephen Gundry, and he wrote a book called The Plant Paradox, which is terrific. And he talks about how plants are good for you, but there's also a downside. And one of the downsides is this lectins and oxalate situation. But they're not in algae. And I actually don't know if they're in seaweed. They're probably not, but I don't know, because my specialty is microalgae, which is the spirulina and chlorella.
I love me some seaweed, but I might have to switch over to this.
Yeah. This will up-level your health in ways like seaweed's good for you because of if you want iodine, there's iodine. There is no iodine in our algae, which can also be good for people, because lots of people, if they have thyroid conditions, don't want algae or don't want iodine. There isn't iodine in our algae because our algae is grown in freshwater farms, not from the ocean. You only get iodine when something is from the ocean, right?
Right. Now, there's that whole debate about farm-raised versus wild.
Yes. Well, this is the only food you never want wild. And here's why. You cannot keep something called microtoxins out of wild bodies of water. Whether it's the ocean, lakes, they're there. And I have scientific papers that analyzed a company, which I will not mention, who grows their algae in Klamath Lake. And it found microtoxins in the algae because they're in the lake. You can't, and microtoxins are very damaging to your brain, to your neurons, to everything in your body. There are no microtoxins. It took me 2 years to find a lab to test for microtoxins. We're also the only company that I'm aware of, the only algae company that does third-party lab tests here in the United States at an FDA-approved lab to test for the nutrient profile, heavy metals, and we do another round of tests at another lab who tests only for microtoxins. And of course, we never have microtoxins because our water that we grow it in is triple filtered. So it's very controlled water. You can't control the water in a wild body of water.
That makes sense.
So,
I've actually cut back on seafood.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and things like salmon. I hate to tell you, most salmon, particularly if you order it at a restaurant, is farmed salmon. And what they do is they feed the farmed salmon soy and just garbage, and you know what? They inject it with a dye to make it pink. So, salmon is not what it used to be. The only safe salmon is wild salmon, which has been caught from the ocean. Honestly, a lot of people eat fish or fish oil because they want the omega-3. Right. And I tell people, well, where do you think the fish got the omega-3 from? They get it from algae. So, and by the time you get fish oil, it's usually rancid. It can't do anything but go rancid because it's an oxidation process that happens. Algae never oxidizes, never goes bad. We put a 3-year expiry date on all of our algae. We batch date it, date stamp it. But I will tell you, it actually technically never goes bad. You could keep this in your cupboard for 10 years and it will never go bad. It might taste terrible, and it might have a little deterioration in some of the nutrient profile, but it never goes bad. What food does that? Other than a crappy hamburger from McDonald's, which you don't want to touch anyways with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, people got to stock up on this in their bunkers.
We have preppers who do order it because if the world was to go south, you could live on this forever.
Monkeypox is coming.
Yeah. In fact, I did an analysis of the nutrient profile of spirulina, which we call ENERGYbits, and found it's virtually identical to mother's breast milk. The exactly same aminos in exactly same proportion. And we know that mother's breast milk is known as the perfect food. Well, this is number 2. And because this is a gift to us from Mother Nature, I call this Mother Nature's breast food for us, because you can't very well have breast milk after the age of 2. And one of the nutrients that is found in spirulina people wouldn't normally know about is called GLA. It stands for gamma linolenic acid. It is an omega. Technically, it's an omega-6. And normally you would go, I want to stay away from omega-6s, and you're right. But omega-6s are really bad when they are exposed to high heat because they become inflammatory. Now, because we don't use high heat to dry our algae, our omega-6 behaves like an omega-3. It's anti-inflammatory. And proof that it's important for you is because the only place that has more of it is mother's breast milk. Now, Mother Nature would not have put this in mother's breast milk unless it was important for the baby, because the baby's brain doubles or triples in size in the first couple of years. This particular omega helps with brain development. And this is one of the important reasons why I call spirulina ENERGYbits brain food, because it does exactly the same thing as what fatty fish would do with the high omegas. And also, which I want to get to later on, it has nutrients in it that protect your mitochondria. And guess what? Your brain has the most mitochondria of all of your cells.
Really?
There are 2 million mitochondria per cell in your brain.
Holy crap.
2 million. That compares to maybe just a skin cell or a fat cell where there's maybe 1,000 per cell. 2 million mitochondria per cell. And this is one of the reasons why, and we're going to talk about some of these nutrients, when you take spirulina, your brain fog is gone. We have people who have been improving their dementia within 24 or 48 hours. Just from taking spirulina. It's food. We even did a clinical trial last year with some military veterans who had post-traumatic stress disorder, had been discharged for 10 to 15 years. They were all in their 50s or 60s. One gentleman had multiple sclerosis. They weren't sleeping. They were depressed. So what we did was we did a brain scan. We did it with an organization called the Gray Team. They're a nonprofit in Florida, and their sole purpose is to reduce the rate of veterans, which is between 35 and 50%. It's heartbreaking. So they're trying everything. So they said, well, let's try this, because I had lots of science. So we did brain scans of all the veterans, and saw all the inflammation in their brain, which was causing all the depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. Gave them 1 pouch of spirulina tablets a day, 30 tablets. Did a brain scan 30 days later. Inflammation completely gone.
Whoa.
One gentleman, his MS tremors went away. Everybody slept better. We had monitors on them for their HRV, and everything improved just from spirulina, which is a food, which gives you energy. It will clear up your skin. It will give you focus, but it's because of the nutrients protect the brain. And there's a great book called Brain Energy, written by Dr. Chris Palmer. I really recommend people buy it. You can get it on Amazon. He's a psychiatrist and a professor at Harvard. He wrote this book called Brain Energy about 1.5 years ago, and talks about how all brain issues, everything, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, are due to damaged mitochondria in your brain. Damaged mitochondria. This heals the mitochondria. So this helps get people's brain, the nutrients in this, helps get people's brains functioning again and removes the inflammation.
Wow, that's massive. There's a huge mental health issue right now.
Oh, no
everywhere.
Kidding. No, absolutely. And what have you got to lose? It costs you $1 a day if you take 10 tablets, although if you have health issues, like even mental health, I would encourage you to take more. Your grocery bill goes down, your supplements bills go down, you have more energy, your skin clears up, everything works better, you're protecting your longevity. Like, what have you got to lose? I'm so passionate about this because it's so simple. You don't have to go to a clinic. We support and we work with lots of biohackers and biohack devices, whether it's red light, this up levels everything. Red light therapy, cryotherapy, cold plunges, everything is better with spirulina and chlorella, saunas. But if you don't have the budget, you don't have the time, you aren't close to any of those places for clinics, you can't afford your own devices, just do this. It's effortless. You just you don't have to refrigerate it. You just put it on your countertop, take 10 or 15 or 20 as often as you want. You're good to go. And we'll talk about, when I get to mitochondria, I'll tell you about a clinical trial we're doing right now with mitochondria health, because that's where the rubber hits the road. Everything in your health is determined by your mitochondria health.
Wow.
So we'll get to that. But
how long have you been taking this? When did you start this?
Well, I've been taking this every day since I started the company almost 15 years ago.
Okay.
I take a lot because, and I do eat real food, and anyone who's listening, I do eat, I'm not a vegan. I eat, I'm very careful though. I make sure I eat grass-fed animal protein. I eat eggs. I don't eat sugar. I'm very sensitive to sugar, so I eat very few little fruit. Even that I'm sensitive to. But I try to intermittent fast with this as late as I can, and then I'll have a full meal at 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe I'm here in Las Vegas. Maybe I'll go out with my team. We'll have a nice meal. But fasting is this. I'll tell you my 3 hacks for people. Spirulina algae, also chlorella, but spirulina for sure. Intermittent fasting and sleep. Those are the 3 most important things you can ever do for yourself, period. Additional hacks would be movement, sunlight, and breathing.
Keep it simple.
And keep it simple. And the sleep, the movement, sunlight, breathing, those are all free.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting, free. And $1 a day, almost free. So those are the pillars for me for getting people back on track. They're all effortless too.
Yeah.
Just go to bed earlier. Just go to bed earlier. And I want to talk about chlorella because I want you to take chlorella before bed, because when you're sleeping, that's when your body goes through a detox repair cycle. Most people, we recommend, take spirulina ENERGYbits in the morning, in the afternoon, before a workout, whenever you're tired or hungry. You can't take too much of it. It's just food. It's like you can't take too much salad. It's just a very, very nutrient-dense food. Give it to your children. We recommend half of their age in tablets. So if they're 4, give them 2 tablets. If they're 10, give them 5. You can give them more.
What about pets?
Pets love this stuff. Oh my God.
I got 2 dogs. I might start giving
They're
this
going to go crazy. It's so great because pets are getting the same diseases as humans, number one, because they're eating the same crappy food. But in addition, their coat will be shiny, their breath will be shiny, clear, their energy will be improved. If they have a disease, it will clear up. It's again the nutrients that are helping because they're missing particular nutrients. And I'll give you a couple of funny stories. It's not just house pets.
Yeah.
Someone sent me actually a cardiologist friend of mine sent me a video a couple of days ago. Their neighbor had a pet raccoon, so they were babysitting the pet raccoon, just a very tiny pet raccoon. And they pulled out a bag of the algae tablets and gave the raccoon a couple.
Yeah.
The raccoon loved them. So then they put the bag on the floor and opened it up, and the raccoon just went head in, right into the bag and just started eating them. They absolutely loved the tablets. So that was pretty funny. And then a customer years ago sent us a testimonial. It was pretty funny. They were hiking in the Appalachian Mountains, and 2 o'clock in the morning, a bear invaded their camp area. So everybody got out of their sleeping bags and ran to safety and came back a couple hours later. And on where their sleeping bags were, the baggies of supplements that they had brought with them were opened, ripped open. All the supplements were still there. The bag of ENERGYbits that they had brought with them, the spirulina tablets, ripped open and licked clean. So Even the bears know what's good for them. So cats, dogs, whatever pet you have, you can give them, if they're a small animal, give them 2 or 3 as a treat. If they're larger, 5 or 10. Again, there's not too much. I had a young intern working for me years ago. She had a little lap dog, and her dog loved the spirulina. And one day, and they come in large bags of 1,000 tablets. This little pouch has 30. She left the brand new bag on the counter by mistake. This little lapdog who loved the tablets somehow found a way to leap up to the counter, a lapdog leaping up to the kitchen counter, and ate the entire bag.
Wow.
She was horrified. She was, oh my God, is he going to die? And I said, no. He'll probably throw up and have some green poop or diarrhea, but he'll be fine. And he was. But so a little tiny animal, and at a conference once, I had this 16-month young girl who was actually the daughter of the same cardiologist I spoke about earlier. She came up to my table, and they've been giving her our spirulina and chlorella since she was born. She came up to the table, and she ate equivalent of about 100 tablets in the space of about 2 minutes. She loved this stuff.
16 months?
Yeah, she was only about 1.5 feet. I have videos and pictures of her, and she had the little. She was chewing them because the kids love to chew them because if you start them early. And she had the little green on the corners of her teeth. Finally, I said, I think she's had enough because I just didn't want her to eat too much, and because if you eat a lot, your poop will be green because of all the chlorophyll that's working its way through your stomach and your colon and your liver and cleansing everything. So it will look dark. It's not bad. I call it a badge of honor when your poop is green because it shows that the chlorophyll has worked its way through. Because you can't get chlorophyll in any vegetables anymore. My arugula goes yellow after day 3 because there's no chlorophyll in our vegetables.
Wow.
Chlorella has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula and 25 times more than liquid chlorophyll. So liquid chlorophyll is great, but I want you to up level. Take chlorella. It's got more chlorophyll, plus you get 40 vitamins and minerals, 60% protein, and all these amazing nutrients that can't be found in liquid chlorophyll.
Incredible.
So,
anything else people should know? I know we got a 20% off code too, right?
Yeah, I think the code is DSH for 20% off. And I know I've talked a lot about spirulina, but I'd love to share with people
let's dive into chlorophyll.
the chlorella, which we call ENERGYbits because it's a health and wellness algae. So it helps you recover your health or recover from your day or recover from sports. And how does it do that? Well, it has the highest chlorophyll in the world, which I mentioned. By the way, chlorophyll kills bacteria, so it kills it in your breath, in your mouth, in your colon. And chlorophyll, the chemical composition of chlorophyll, I'll send you some charts that you can insert later on. The chemical composition of chlorophyll is identical to the chemical composition of your hemoglobin. Here's a little picture that shows that. You can see that this is chlorophyll on this side. Here's your hemoglobin. Virtually identical.
Wow.
So chlorophyll builds your blood. And when you have healthy blood, you're going to have a healthier body. But there's no chlorophyll in our vegetables anymore. So that's one of the things. Chlorella has fiber in it. Remember I said spirulina does not have fiber?
Yeah.
This fiber feeds your gut biome. Your gut biome, the bacteria in your gut biome determine a lot that has to do with your health. And it needs fiber to be healthy. So chlorella has fiber, so they're happy. Chlorella, that hard cell wall, that hard cellulose wall, also attaches to toxins. It is the hardest cell wall in the plant kingdom, and it attaches to heavy metals, aluminum, all the heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation. By the way, if people taking any chemotherapy, take it the day after your radiation because it will pull the excess out so you're not as sick.
Wow.
It pulls out alcohol.
Really?
Yes. Alcohol. So anyone who's having a few cocktails, you're partying, we'll talk about this, the quantity, you're going to need 30 tablets for detox. But you will be sober in an hour and a half, and you will never have a hangover.
What?
Ever.
Wow.
Ever. Proven, hands down. We've had people come to Vegas for their bachelorette party, and they were the only ones taking the chlorella because nobody believed me. And they said, thank you, because they were the only ones that felt great the next morning. This stuff works. And again, it's food. So chlorella, feeds your gut biome, attaches to toxins. One of the other toxins it attaches to is lactic acid. This is why athletes like hockey players, marathon runners, triathletes take the chlorella after a game or a race to pull out all that lactic acid, which is acidic and will give you DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. This will remove that and also it builds your immune system so that you don't get sick. Because often when you push yourself athletically, it really drains your body. So chlorella has all of the nutrients, 40 vitamins and minerals that the medical community has identified as important for your immune system. And by the way, 90% of your immune system is in your gut. So when you give your gut all the nutrients it needs to build those defense mechanisms, they're called killer cells and T cells and B cells, then it can defend you. Your immune system is like your defense, is like the police force. It's there to protect you. But if you don't give it the nutrients it needs, it's like expecting, or the fire department, they're there to protect you. But if the fire truck pulls up and there's no water, they can't very well protect you. You need nutrients that are going to build your immune system so it can protect you, and they're all in the chlorella. So why do we tell people to take the chlorella at night? You can take it any time of day, but we definitely recommend at night, because when you are sleeping, that's when your body goes through a detox repair cycle. And so if you have chlorella in your body while you're sleeping, you're getting your beauty rest. It's the scrub-a-dub team. It's the cleanup crew. It's getting rid of aluminum in your brain. And it also stimulates stem cells, which help your body recover. It has something called chlorella growth factor, which speeds up the growth of cells. So it's in there fixing all this stuff that needs to be fixed. And it has the highest tryptophan in the world, which is a precursor to melatonin. Melatonin helps you get into a deep sleep. So this won't make you sleepy. It will just help you get into a deep sleep so that you can get all that good repair, so that you can pull out all those toxins. And here's the other cool thing. Chlorella stimulates something called peristalsis. That's a fancy name for bowel movement. And you need bowel movements because the junk in your trunk that's sitting there is stuff that your body didn't want. Those are toxins. Those are metals. Those are pesticides. That's junk that could not be used by your body. They're toxic. This is why colon cancer is so high, because people are constipated. If you're on medications, I can promise you're constipated. If you're traveling, you're probably constipated. If you're eating a lot of dairy, you're probably constipated. If you're a carnivore, you're probably constipated because you're not getting fiber. If you're eating a lot of rice or white processed foods, you're probably constipated, probably not healthy either. Chlorella stimulates bowel movements. It does exactly what fiber does. So this gets back again to the fact that, guys, listen up. Kids, listen up. If you're having trouble getting your husbands, boyfriends, children to eat vegetables, don't worry. Just give them spirulina in the morning and afternoon for all the nutrition, and make sure they're taking chlorella at night because it will stimulate this bowel movement. Spirulina will not stimulate the bowel movement, but it has nutrients that are important for other purposes. Chlorella stimulates the bowel movements and gets rid of the junk in your trunk. So I'm so regular, that's probably too much information, but this really works. And if you just wanted the stimulation of your immune system, then and your bowel movements, that would be the chlorella. But it does it best before sleep. Now, just like spirulina, you could take 10 tablets of the chlorella for the wellness benefits. So you'll get all the chlorophyll and you get all the immune health building capabilities. But for the detox, pulling out the alcohol, pulling out the heavy metals, and the stimulation of the peristalsis, you really do need 30.
For how long?
For as long as you need, and for therapeutic purposes. So if you're if you're on a detox regimen, take 30 tablets every evening before bed for as long as your detox is going on. But I will tell you, because this is so cleansing, and by the way, chlorella, the tablets actually taste pretty good. They're slightly lighter color. They're hard to detect with the eye. I don't know if you can pick that up.
They look the same.
They do look the same, but I will tell you, if you put this blue one in water, you'll see a beautiful blue color come out. That's the blue phycocyanin, and I definitely want to talk about it because there's some amazing healing properties. It's blue. That's what will come out in the water.
Yeah.
And the green, which is just the chlorophyll, will come out green. So they're quite different. From the eye, you can't tell, but if you ever think you know they're the same, I promise you they're not, and they will do different things. But 30 is what you need. But it's like giving your body a shower from the inside when you take 10, but 30 is better. We all take a shower on the outside, and we have 700 toxins that have migrated into our cells, into our brains, into our organs. You can clear out your blood with chlorella in an hour and a half. That's why if you take it after alcohol, because it's still circulating in your bloodstream, you'll be sober in an hour and a half, and you will not have a hangover. But for your cells, it will take 7 to 10 days, and for your organs, it can be 3 to 6 months. And it's about the density of the cell structure.
Got it.
Blood is very porous because it's watery. Cells are denser. Organs are denser still. So you can monitor it, but the chlorella tastes really good if you add sea salt, pistachio nuts. We have some people taking them with almonds and chopped coconut. Anyone can grind them up and put them in a smoothie. But if you can learn to like them with sea salt, you're maybe still, it won't interfere with your fasting at night. Then you're good to go. You enjoy the flavor. It's still help you get to sleep. It's got the protein. It's got the 40 vitamins and minerals, and it will help with your repair cycle.
Love it. Can't wait to try these.
Yeah. And by the way, I will mention every single person in the world, newborns, children, teenagers, pets, grandparents, retirees can benefit and will all enjoy and have zero problems with spirulina. Chlorella, because it is a detoxing algae, there is a small percentage of people that might have detox reactions. And what do they include? They might get a headache. They might have some skin breakout, stomach distress. So if you have any doubt that you might have that you might be one of those people, and there's not everybody does, but some people do. Just go to Amazon. We sell them in these individual pouches for $6. You can ship them to Prime shipping. And then come back to the website once you've seen that you're okay, and use the discount code DSH at ENERGYbits, because it's the best value is on our website, ENERGYbits.com.
Perfect.
And the best value is the large bags of tablets with the 1,000 tablets. We have these fun canisters that come with a bag inside. And the great thing about them, you open the bag, put it into the canister, and then you just shake the tablets
nice.
out of the opening.
I love it.
Yeah, and then when you finish the bag, as you can see, there's the bag inside, and it comes with a cute little travel tin. I'll show you, so you can put it in your pocket, and so you always have some with you. When you run out, you simply buy another bag and refill the canister. This canister, you buy it once, and then it lasts, a year or longer. It might get kind of mucked up after a year or two. So very, very eco-friendly and sustainable, and so is our paper. Algae, by the way, is the most eco-friendly, sustainable crop in the world. It provides 85% of oxygen on Earth. You get 200 times more protein per acre than you do from animal cropping. There is zero negative carbon footprint. Zero. So we're very proud that the algae itself is eco-friendly, sustainable, and that our packaging is as well.
So, love it. Yeah, thanks so much for educating everyone on algae.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Anything else you want to close off with?
Well, one other thing is two things I do want to mention, and it's really to do with the spirulina. As I mentioned earlier, people are getting sick earlier and earlier, and ultimately all of the diseases that we're experiencing come down to damaged mitochondria. And the reason why they're getting sick is your mitochondria are what generate cellular energy for you. Cellular energy is what propels everything in your body. Think of it as electricity. And in fact, I compare cellular energy, or what the mitochondria do, to light bulbs in a building. You can't do any work in the building if the light bulbs are out, right?
Yeah.
And so when your light bulbs go out, hey, you just pick up the phone, maintenance comes, they replace the light bulb, you're good to go. As you get older, your mitochondria get damaged and they die. And they are the equivalent of your light bulbs. In fact, they're even more powerful than just your light bulbs, because they're the electricity that even lights the light bulbs. So as your mitochondria die or get damaged, you just have less cellular energy for your body to do anything. We're not talking cellular energy to run to the store or to have a great workout. This is for your brain to work, for your lymphatic system to work, for your heart to work. Your body needs cellular energy to do anything. So when there's less cellular energy, nothing works properly. And there's one particular, so what's happening is your mitochondria, I'm sure you didn't know this, have their own DNA. And they are located inside the mitochondria. And those DNA, there's only 37 compared to the 22,000 regular DNA. When those 37 control everything. They control the 22,000 other DNA. They're like the air controllers at an airport. So when your mitochondria get damaged, it's like the air controllers going down. And this is when your health crashes. Now remember, this could be going on for 10 years before you have any symptoms, but it's going on. And why are they getting damaged? Because there's this thing called cellular energy, has a name. It's called ATP. And so this ATP is what creates this cellular energy. But a byproduct of ATP production are free radicals. Everybody probably has heard of free radicals. They're a molecule with an unpaired electron, and Mother Nature doesn't like things that are unbalanced. So what that molecule does, it steals an electron from another molecule or another tissue, which is now unbalanced. So it steals an electron from another one. So this is what causes tissue damage. There's these things called antioxidants that have extra electrons. It's like the kid who, at the cafeteria who had extra lunches to give to everybody. So it gives away its extra electron to the free radical, calms it down, neutralizes it so it won't do any damage. We're okay for now, right? Here's the problem. The mitochondria are the only cell in your body with an inner membrane. Virtually no antioxidants can get in there to do this neutralizing of the free radicals. There are 3, though, that can. One of them is chlorophyll, one is called glutathione, and one is called superoxide dismutase. And algae has the highest concentration of all 3 in the universe.
Wow.
The most important one, though, is called superoxide dismutase, which I'm sure people have never heard of before, and the acronym for it is SOD. Now, the good news is your body makes this antioxidant SOD from the moment you're born, just like it makes hormones and melatonin and other things that you need to live. The downside is, after the age of 30, your body slows down the production of this superoxide dismutase, just like it slows down other things like hormones and melatonin and lots of stuff. So think of this antioxidant superoxide dismutase that your body makes for you from the moment you're born, excuse me, like a big golf umbrella. We've all seen those or have those big golf umbrellas. When you're stuck in a rainstorm or you're on a golf course, hey, it doesn't matter if it's pouring rain. You got your big golf umbrella. You're good. You're dry. You're safe. You're protected. That's what this stuff called superoxide dismutase does. It protects your mitochondria from all these free radicals. We're good so far. By the time you're 30, because your body's making less of it, that big golf umbrella has turned into a smaller umbrella, kind of like the size of a totes umbrella,
right?
One of those city umbrellas. So now your mitochondria are kind of getting a little hit with the free radicals, not as much as before, but they're still getting hit. By the time you're 35 or 40, that that totes umbrella, gone completely.
Wow.
You are in a rainstorm of free radicals. Rainstorm. And there is no stopping it because this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase cannot be found in any other food.
Dang.
Period. Not found. And yet, there are 25,000 studies proving that superoxide dismutase stops inflammation, stops Alzheimer's, stops diabetes, stops heart disease. Proven. But you can't get it from any other food. But it's found in the highest concentration in spirulina algae and second highest in the world in chlorella. But there's a caveat. This thing called, this antioxidant, superoxide dismutase, is also an enzyme. And when you expose enzymes to high heat over 114 degrees Fahrenheit, they die. Pretty much most of the other lower priced algae companies that are trying to cut corners and get to market quickly because their prices are lower are using high heat to dry their algae. That deactivates this particular antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. So it's like that buying that beautiful car that has no engine. you are missing this protection that your mitochondria need from this free radical. Because when they get damaged, this is when they die. They can't create cellular energy. This is what brings on all chronic diseases. This causes inflammation, brain fog, weight gain, diabetes. Everyone's number one goal from now on should be to protect their mitochondria, because the mitochondria will protect you. But they need this antioxidant to do that.
Right.
And you can't get it from, I think cabbage has a minuscule amount, but spirulina has 7,000 times more.
Dang.
So that's why I want everybody in the world to be taking spirulina, because we have this active antioxidant that will protect your mitochondria. And there's one more nutrient I just have to let people know about, because it is so important. The rates of cancer are off the charts now, and people are getting it younger and younger. And I started the company because my sister had breast cancer, so it's a big issue for me. Well, it turns out the blue pigment that's in spirulina, not found in anywhere else in the entire universe, is proven to kill cancer cells. And I'm going to show you, there's a lab test, for example, and they did this lab test where they dyed cancer cells purple, and then they put phycocyanin, that's how you spell it, PHYCOCYANIN, into the petri dish. And within 24 hours, the cancer cells were dead.
24 hours.
Within 24 hours.
Holy crap.
And so the chemotherapy companies use this blue pigment in their treatments.
Wow.
And raise your hand if you want chemotherapy. Yeah, didn't think so. This is Mother Nature's way of protecting us from cancer. And what it does, it's a little geeky, but it ejects something called the cytochrome C molecule from something called the electron transport chain. And when your cytochrome C molecule is ejected, it stimulates something called capases, which stimulates something called apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. The trouble with cancer cells is they don't know they're sick. They are rogue cells, and they do not go through this process called apoptosis. When you have a healthy cell, and it's subdivided multiple times, and it's a healthy cell, it goes, well, I've done a good job here. I've been around for a long time. It's sort of like when someone's retiring, and they're saying, well, thanks, Joe, for the great work you've done. And so Joe knows he's going to retire. So he hands off all his projects and his databases to the new people in the office, and everyone's, thanks, Joe. We'll take it from here. Well, that's what apoptosis is. It's healthy cell death. When you have a healthy cell, it knows it's done its job, it knows it's time to go, and what it does is it gives off all of its nutrients, and it creates maybe 5 or 6 new cells, new mitochondria, new cells that are healthy, no inflammation. But when you have a cancer cell, it's not a healthy cell, and it doesn't know that it's sick. So it doesn't go through that process. This is why cancer cells grow so quickly. They don't know it's time to die. So when you have this process where this blue pigment triggers this thing in the electron transport chain called cytochrome C to trigger apoptosis, this is what kills cancer cells. The chemotherapy companies measure if the cancer treatment is working by how much of this cytochrome C molecule is in your bloodstream, because they know then that the cancer cells are dying.
Wow.
But it's in the blue phycocyanin, but it also, drum roll, is deactivated by high heat. And once again, if you're getting the cheaper spirulina at Target or Costco, you are cheating yourself, because it does not have active phycocyanin. So I'm very proud that we grow ours so carefully to preserve all these nutrients, that Mother Nature has given us a gift of health if we just understand what it can do for us. But you have to be sure, like anything, that you're getting the best, because people deserve the best. They really need high quality food, and it's not coming from the food companies, and we want to keep people safe and avoid these diseases that don't show up with symptoms for 10 years sometimes after it has started. So whether you're 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 or 35, 55, I just want people to be healthy and using something that's so natural. Again, it's food. We call them bits because they're bits of food. No chemicals, no caffeine, no sugar, 0 carbs, good for intermittent fasting, paleo, carnivore, vegan, children, pets. What food is good for every single living being on Earth?
Yeah,
it does. It's almost too good to be true if it wasn't backed in science.
We'll link below. Thanks so much for coming on. That was a blast. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.